Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Smash JT. In a previous video, I talked about what it's like to actually be a game tester in the video game industry. And since that video, I've gotten a ton of questions from people on how to get into the industry in the first place. So I wanted to make you guys a video on what it was like for me applying and getting into the game industry as a game tester, and then what it was like when I was actually a recruiter and what I looked for in people to get into the game industry themselves. For the most part, in the game industry, the game tester position is a springboard kind of position that can launch you in a whole bunch of different directions for different careers in the video game industry. I saw people go from being a game tester to being an actual game developer. I've seen people go from being a game tester to working in marketing or human resources or even customer service jobs in the video game industry. So from that perspective, it's the ideal position to start with if you're looking to launch your career. The first thing I would say is to get to know your surroundings, where you live, anywhere on this planet, and find out what game companies are within your area. There are tons of video game companies these days, and chances are there's a good one that's somewhere close to you. Once you've located those game companies, then go to their website, go to Contact Us, send them an email directly and say, I'm looking to getting into game testing. How do I do that? Who do you guys use? Who can I contact? Where do I start? And for the most part, if it's a reputable company, they'll get back to you fairly quickly and let you know how to do it. And most game companies use temp agencies to hire their team of game testers. And if that's the case, then find out who that temp agency is and contact them directly. Let them know that you're excited about becoming a game tester, that you really want to get into the video game industry. What do I have to do? What positions do you have available, if any? Please let me know any information you have. And assuming that they're a reputable temp agency, hopefully they'll get back to you with some information. They're not always hiring for game testers. Typically it's a ramp up period where they're getting close to the end of the game and they need to get the team together to make sure that the game is ready for release. But then there can be a ramp down period where they actually separate the team, where some people go work on different games and some people are laid off. So they're not always hiring for game tester positions. So part of the chances of getting the job is luck and timing. A lot of people have asked me, what kind of classes do I need to take in college to be able to be prepared to get a job in the game industry? And to that I say, I went to college for business management. I had nothing to do really with game testing. So you don't necessarily have to take computer courses and learn how to develop games or code games with C++. Although extremely helpful and useful, not necessarily required for game testing. The most important class you can probably take for game testing is English, to make sure that your English skills are absolutely clear and perfect, because they're looking for people that can read instructions, make sure the game says things properly, make sure the periods are in the right place, the capitalization's in the right place, punctuation is perfect throughout. So English is probably the number one thing you can do if you're looking to get into game testing. When I was a recruiter at my temp agency interviewing potential candidates to become game testers, the number one thing I would look for is stability at home. I'd want to make sure that they had a house that they were living in, that they were living with their parents or sharing a place with a bunch of people. Because to be honest, the job doesn't pay very much at all. Most of them are minimum wage or just barely above minimum wage. And most of the jobs are located in fairly expensive places to live. So you're going to run into some problems if you don't have a stable place to be living at and you're trying to make minimum wage, or in my case it was $10 an hour in San Diego, which to be honest, that's 40 hours a week, $400 a week before taxes get taken out. It's really challenging to survive in a decent place in San Diego on that income. And along the lines of low pay, it's also a very inconsistent job. There are times where they're going to need you for 3 months and then they may lay you off for 3 months. So you need to have the type of lifestyle where you're actually okay with that. I was fortunate because I had a 6-month contract, and then when that was ending, I actually got on another 6-month contract and moved on to customer service at EverQuest Online Adventures for Sony Online Entertainment. But if that didn't happen, I would have been out of a job because the game we were testing, Cash Guns Chaos, came to an end, and there were no other games they were working on that they needed us for at that point. And while this is the kind of job that kind of requires previous experience before you even get the experience, people ask me, How the heck do I get game testing experience if I've never had game testing experience? You don't necessarily have to have done it before, but what I looked for when I was a recruiter was someone who's done testing, like medical device testing or any other kind of device testing. It didn't really have to be a related field to video games. As long as they were testing something to make sure that it worked, that kind of experience would loosely transfer over to QA testing for video games. And if you're unable to get a testing position, other things I look for is if you worked at a game store before, like GameStop or even Walmart Electronics, Target Electronics, even Chuck E. Cheese or an arcade. Anything that's video game related that shows you had a passion for it, but actually had a job in it and understood the psyche behind working in the game industry to a lesser extent. Like every job out there, there's no silver bullet to do this to get here. There are a ton of different paths that people took to get to game testing, or even beyond that to different departments like game development. Some of the people I work with in QA testing and actually customer service went on to game development. They were taking courses concurrently while they were working at Sony with me, and then worked with Sony to progress their knowledge on game development. And a lot of these game companies want to promote from within, and they want to find these people that want to learn more and do more. So if you're one of those people that wants more out of a job than just game testing, it's actually the perfect career to start with, because you can do that, learn other things, people at the company, talk to them, let them know what you really want to be doing, feel it out yourself because you're actually there and you see what it's like at all these other jobs that people are doing, and realize which one that you actually have a passion for. And in my case, I loved game testing. It was so much fun, but the pay was just not enough. I moved on to their customer service department, but still the pay was just not enough. I finally talked to my recruiter, told her that I really enjoyed what she did for me and how I'd love to be able to do that for other people. And fast forwarding to actually getting an interview with my temp agency to become a recruiter for them. They hired me, and I couldn't have been happier being able to speak to people on a daily basis about video games, what drives them, what their passion is, and why they want to do things, along with looking for people who could be punctual, good with the English language, and really able to focus all their attention on a specific thing, like game testing. And again, one of the biggest challenges I had while being a recruiter was finding people that had a stable living situation where they could work for 10 bucks an hour in San Diego and not have to worry that they'd have to quit on week 2 because they can't afford where they're living for what they're getting paid. And when I was a recruiter, I'd use sites like Craigslist, Monster.com, and Indeed, posting to job boards everywhere I could find. But one of the best job boards that I found was Craigslist. That was my most consistent job board for successful candidates. And it's kind of funny, after I posted my last video of what it's like to be in the game industry, a lot of spam comments came through from these fake names saying, click on this website to become a game tester. I shouldn't really have to say this, I hope people know better, but those are spam, those are fake. Like, you click on those, they're gonna charge you money, tell you that it's a course to learn how to become a game tester, and then they won't give you anything in return for it. That's one way to definitely not become a game tester, so don't bother clicking on any of those links. Anytime you see links saying online game tester needed or looking for someone who can work from home for game testing, be very weary of those, because those scream scam to me as well, and to my knowledge, most game testing is still done at the office, not from home. And I'm sure there are exceptions to that rule, but don't say I didn't warn you. Anyways, I hope that answers all the questions that you guys had for me from the last video that I made. If you have any more questions or want any more details of anything that I spoke of in detail today, let me know in the comments section below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.